This story unfolded many years ago during the months of July and June. My family and I frequently retreated to a cabin in Yungaburra, near Cairns, Australia, during winter. We sought the cold days we missed from our hometown in Toowoomba, as Cairns maintains a tropical climate, essentially experiencing perpetual summer. Yungaburra is an exceedingly small town atop a hill, easy to miss with its lack of prominence. Nevertheless, it exudes a quaint and friendly atmosphere, boasting a rich heritage spanning over 150 years. Small towns like Yungaburra often cultivate local folk legends, and one of these legends materialized into reality during our stay. The cabin we rented sat on the edge of bushlands, adjacent to an old farmhouse with substantial land, including portions of the bush. To reach the cabin, one had to traverse a somewhat steep dirt road, also leading to the aforementioned farmhouse. Along this dirt road ran a medium-sized pond, and it was the backdrop of our eerie encounter. On our last night, I visited the pub to meet a friend residing in Yungaburra. Knowing I had to drive early the next morning, I refrained from consuming alcohol. My friend, however, had no such concerns and continued reveling until around 11:30 p.m. Realizing I needed to rest, I embarked on the 15-minute walk back to the cabin, despite the dropping temperature of about 5 degrees Celsius, 41 Fahrenheit. As I walked, darkness enveloped the dirt road devoid of streetlights. To combat the obscurity, I illuminated the path with my phone's flashlight. However, an unsettling realization dawned as fog began to roll in, initially light but intensifying into heavy mist, reducing visibility. With recollection, I believe I muttered, "Here we go, something's about to happen," aloud. Concerned about the steep ditch with a pond at the bottom, I halted. The fog thickened, and in the distance, I spotted a lantern, a small amber light making its way down the driveway. A voice called out, resembling my mom's, inviting me out of the fog to follow the lamp. In trust, I followed the light, which led me safely up the dirt driveway, climbing steps, and reaching the cabin's entrance. The light disappeared, and out to my mom, I realized I stood on the doorstep of the old, abandoned farmhouse. The farmhouse's door swung open in the wind, emitting a sinister creaking noise. Frozen with fear, I heard a voice from inside, initially resembling my mom's, but now adorned with a prominent British accent. Realizing I'd rather face the fog than enter the ominous house, I quickly descended the stairs, only to stumble and injure my knee and hands. I screamed when I realized I had tripped over a tombstone, not a mere stone. In a panic, I ran, screaming for my parents until a swarm of amber lights surrounded me. Finding a gap, I sprinted again, feeling as though my life depended on it. Unfortunately, I collided with a wall, blacking out. I was awakened by my dad, who had heard the impact. The next morning, we decided not to leave early, giving me time to rest and bringing friends over to share insights. On the patio, about 500 meters away, we observed the old and desolate farmhouse. According to my dad, the farmhouse was one of the first built in the late 19th century, during the town's founding. The folklore connected to it revolved around a well-known mother, whose son, playing with mates in town, went missing. In the late hours, she sought him with a kerosene lamp, eventually returning without him. The next morning, her son was found dead in the pond, and the legend persists as the mother continues searching for him on winter nights, inadvertently luring unsuspecting males from the pub. Lunchtime came around, and we were quietly watching a movie downstairs while the baby napped. Suddenly, we heard noises upstairs as if something had dropped to the ground. After a moment of listening, my mom rushed upstairs, fearing the baby had fallen from his crib. Upon opening the door, we found the baby peacefully asleep. However, there was an odd substance on the floor, which took us a while to identify as drywall or something similar. The house had a crawl space leading to a small attic, housing the AC and insulation. This space was barely big enough to access, positioned 9 feet above the ground, requiring effort to push and slide open. A visible gap in the carpet revealed white spots on the ground, indicating something had been dragged from one side of the room to the crib, stopping right in front of it. Concerned, my mom checked the closet and called my stepdad. He couldn't leave work, so we stayed downstairs until his arrival to inspect the crawl space. Despite living in Arizona, where wildlife is scarce, and we had never had animals, nothing was found in the crawl space. This strange occurrence repeated every other day for 2 weeks, with no clear explanation. Fast forward 2.5 years, and the bizarre happenings resumed when my baby sister used the same crib. The incidents occurred on and off for a few weeks, and then ceased entirely. The AC never triggered the crawl space opening again. During a 3-month period of severe sleep deprivation, I experienced unsettling nightly phenomena. I felt my bed shaking, as if the metal frame vibrated, and sensed someone pushing the mattress or sitting on its corner. Seeking reassurance, I had my brother touch the frame, confirming the shaking wasn't a figment of my imagination. The unsettling experiences included hearing whispers, a strange voice my 3-syllable name, and avoiding the downstairs at night due to fear. My brother, too, began hearing the whispers and believed a presence was focused on me. He would confront the supposed entity with a knife, turning on lights and inspecting the area. Other incidents involved my baby brother talking to an unseen figure upstairs, claiming the man was hiding in my room and referring to the man in the window. Doors slammed, voices echoed, and mysterious sounds plagued my room. One night, my parents went out, leaving my brother and me at home. We heard a woman's wailing, clear and unmistakable. Terrified, we huddled in my room, considering the police. The crying eventually stopped, and we cautiously re-entered the house, only to experience more eerie occurrences, leading us to question our sanity. My brother's friend witnessed blinds opening on their own, and my brother encountered a pale woman with black stringy hair, black eyes, and a sinister smile. This apparition appeared in our parents' bedroom and, on another occasion, closer to the nursery door. The eerie encounters persisted, leaving us deeply unsettled. Upon my parents selling the house, my brother stayed alone for a few weeks, during which he experienced a deep, melodic humming and sensed being watched. He described encountering a figure with inside-out eyes, black with visible white dots in the middle. These shared experiences, involving multiple family members and friends, have left a lasting impact, instilling fear of the supernatural. The strange occurrences have affected me so profoundly that I still harbor the terror of invoking these entities by merely thinking about them. Additionally, we learned from neighbors that the previous occupants were a large Mormon family with unsettling rumors, including a toddler's drowning in an upstairs bathtub, although no concrete evidence was found. I've always been somewhat in tune with the spiritual world or realm, and this has been the case throughout my entire life. I don't communicate with spirits using words, but I can sense their presence and often identify the emotions that accompany them. I believe I've felt and identified sorrow, confusion, dread, and aggression. It's uncommon for earthbound spirits to exude positive emotions. I'm also an empath, capable of perceiving human emotions not verbally or physically expressed, including real-time emotions and energy absorbed into walls, structures, and soil. Some houses feel like they hold a history of abuse. Walls listen and walls talk. I can distinguish between a presence from an existing body and a presence without a human body. I feel bodiless entities in my chest, torso, and especially my forearms. It's difficult to explain, but it's like the feeling when you know you're not alone. Static in my veins, almost like my arm falls asleep. Despite understanding that many earthbound spirits exude negativity, I feel very welcomed and safe in cemeteries. I love cemeteries. They are places where people typically don't go with intentions. While they often carry sorrow, I believe grief is simply a form of unreciprocated love. When I go to a cemetery, I sense heavy, thick sorrow, but also an air of love and longing. It fluctuates throughout the grounds, feeling like a sea of waves to walk through. During cemetery visits, I pop in for a few minutes, turn off the car, and listen with my body to hone my connectivity skills. Recently, my roommate and I discovered Mount Olivet Cemetery in Fort Worth, Texas. Modeled after the original in Tennessee, it spans 180 acres with multiple lots, statues, a variety of headstones, laser-etched marble, a lake, and crypts. It's a fantastic cemetery filled with trees. On our first visit, we spent an hour driving around, marveling at the evidence of unique forms of grieving. Returning after sunset, we encountered others, including mourners and possibly ghost hunters. We decided to explore on foot, recording audio and video. While we heard an anguished cry, nothing significant happened during the recording. Afterward, we visited a local cemetery, smaller at 2 to 3 acres, my favorite due to its vibe. The negativity felt there was severe confusion, and anguish localized to a cement bench. My roommate, who doesn't have a history with such experiences, felt it too. During previous visits, energies revolved around themselves, but this time felt different. Late at night, my roommate woke up as we entered the cemetery. She expressed a desire to go home, and simultaneously, I felt something in the field behind us. The field, usually welcoming, now emanated an energy of urgency. Get out fast. Not threatening, but firm, as though disobedience would invite a threatening response. It was a strange departure from the typically welcoming and soft atmosphere. Upon returning home within 3 minutes, the unsettling feeling vanished, leaving me confused about why I sensed in that field. We attempted to review our recordings in the car, but my roommate fell asleep. I watched one video and listened to 5 minutes of audio before saving the rest for later.